A promise kept. The heart of honor in a bustling airport. Hey there, friends. Get ready for a story that'll tug at your heartstrings and remind you of the power of promises kept. Picture this. A busy airport, travelers rushing to catch flights, and in the midst of it all, a moment that stops time. This is the story of Sergeant Samuel Harper, a tomb guard with a heart full of duty, and Private First Class Daniel Walsh, a fallen hero whose legacy changed a terminal, and maybe even you. So, grab a cozy spot, and let's dive into this incredible tale of honor, love, and the unbreakable bonds forged in sacrifice. Oh, and before we start, drop a comment to let us know where in the world you're joining us from. If the story moves you, hit that subscribe button. We've got another special tale coming tomorrow. In the heart of Washington, D.C., Ronald Reagan National Airport buzzes with life. Travelers dash to gates, announcements hum over the speakers, and the air crackles with the urgency of schedules. But today, amidst the chaos, one man stands still, a beacon of calm in a sea of motion. Meet Sergeant Samuel Harper, a tomb guard of Arlington's Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. His uniform is a promise in itself, white gloves spotless, shoes polished to a mirror shine, and the gleaming badge of the tomb guard pinned proudly to his chest. His face is steady, eyes fixed forward, but beneath the scarlet and black of his uniform, his heart carries a heavy weight. Today, Sam's mission isn't at the sacred tomb but here, in this crowded airport, to escort a fallen brother home. That brother is Private First Class Daniel Walsh, just 25 years young, a soldier who laughed under desert stars, dreamed of flying planes, and loved baseball with all his heart. 3 days ago, Danny's light was extinguished in a classified mission in the Middle East. Now, his flag-draped casket waits on the tarmac, the stars and stripes a solemn reminder of his sacrifice. Sam made a promise to Danny under a desert sky. If I don't make it, bring me home right. Today, every step Sam takes is for Danny, for the boy who saved his squad, who carried his little sister's crayon drawings in his helmet, and who gave everything for his country. Across the terminal, Margaret Walsh, Maggie to her friends, stands with her granddaughter, Emma. At 70, Maggie's face tells the story of a military nurse who's seen too many wars, from Vietnam to today. Her son, Danny, was her pride, her joy. Now, she clutches Emma's small hand, waiting to say goodbye. 10-year-old Emma looks up, her eyes wide with innocence and grief. "Grandma, is that Danny's plane?" she asks, her voice soft but piercing. Maggie nods, her throat too tight to speak. She's been here before, sending her husband to war, then her son. Today, she's here to bring Danny home. But not everyone feels the weight of this moment. In an office overlooking the terminal, James Thornton, the airport's operations manager, stares at his tablet, his fingers tapping an impatient beat. A 98% on-time departure rate is his pride, his obsession. Framed certificates of efficiency line his walls, and digital screens track flights, gates, and delays. To him, a military procession through the main concourse is a disruption he can't afford. "We can't have this," he mutters to his assistant, Sarah. "Why wasn't I told earlier? The service corridors are there for a reason. Get it rerouted." Sarah clears her throat. "Sir, the airport director approved the main concourse route." Thornton's jaw tightens. "This airport runs on precision, not pageantry," he snaps, already calculating the minutes lost during the peak 2:30 rush. 19 departures in that window. Delays are not an option. Back in the arrivals hall, Sam stands like a pillar against the polished floors. Travelers rush past, some snapping photos of his striking uniform, others too busy to notice. His mind drifts to 3 days ago, to the commanding officer's office, where a folded letterhead delivered the news that shattered his world. Private First Class Daniel Walsh, killed in action. Then came the assignment. "You've been selected for escort duty, Sergeant. Bring him home." Sam's fingers brush the photograph in his breast pocket, worn soft from years of handling. It shows him and Danny, arms slung around each other, grinning under a desert moon. They'd met in basic training, two opposites thrown together. Danny was all heart, quick to laugh, quick to act. Sam was the compass, always calculating, always steady. "You think too much, Sam," Danny would tease, his voice cutting through the night. "Sometimes, you just feel it." Over time, their rivalry turned to respect, then to a brotherhood forged in the crucible of war. Afghanistan tested them, but Danny's laughter was a lifeline in the barracks, a shield against the tension. Sam stayed in the background, watching, planning. "You're my compass, Sam," Danny said one quiet night, stars bright above their outpost. "I lead the charge, but you make sure we're heading right." Those words settled into Sam's chest, becoming part of him. Their third tour changed everything. An ambush, sudden, brutal. Gunfire, shouts, and Danny's voice. "Sam, on your left." He tackled Sam to the ground as bullets tore through the air. 3 seconds that saved Sam's life. That night, as medics patched them up, Danny brushed off thanks. "That's what brothers do," he said. But his eyes held a new shadow, a glimpse of mortality. Months later, Danny talked more about home. His mother, Maggie, who sent care packages. His little sister, Emma, who mailed crayon drawings to Uncle Danny the hero. He carried her artwork in his helmet, a talisman against the darkness. The night before his final mission, they sat outside their barracks, the air heavy with premonition. "If anything happens, Sam," Danny said, his usual grin gone, "bring me home proper. Full honors, through the main concourse, not some back exit." Dad would have wanted it done right. Sam nodded, the weight of the promise sinking in. "I'll make sure of it, Danny, no matter what." 3 days later, the news came. Danny didn't return. Details were classified, sparse. Sam stood alone in the barracks, the photograph in his hand. The promise no longer a what if, but a duty. Now, at the airport, as the transport plane taxis closer, that promise burns in Sam's chest. The aircraft door opens with a mechanical hiss, and the honor guard emerges, their movements precise, deliberate. The flag-draped casket appears, the stars and stripes a stark contrast to the terminal's gray. Ground crew remove their caps, heads bowed. Sam takes his place beside the casket, his scarlet uniform aflame against the cold efficiency around him. James Thornton strides through the terminal, clipboard clutched like a shield. "We'll use the service corridors," he tells his staff as they hurry toward the arrivals hall. "It's efficient, won't disrupt thousands of passengers. The military can have their ceremony at the cemetery." Sarah, the young security officer, hesitates. "But sir, the director approved the main route." Thornton waves her off. "I'm responsible for this terminal. We don't stop for parades." The procession begins, each step measured, dignified, challenging the frantic pace around them. Travelers slow, sensing something sacred. An elderly man nods respectfully. A group of teenagers whisper. A businessman checks his watch, then pauses, caught by the sight. Sam's face remains composed, but the photograph in his pocket anchors him. This is about Danny, about a debt that transcends schedules. Thornton approaches before the procession reaches the terminal doors. "Sergeant," he says, voice low, "I've prepared an alternative route." He unfolds a map, pointing to a highlighted path. "These service corridors lead directly to the pickup area. It's faster." Sam's response is immediate, unwavering. "This is Private First Class Daniel Walsh, United States Army. We will proceed through the main terminal as arranged, at the appropriate pace for escorting the fallen." Thornton leans closer, his tone sharper. "These corridors were designed for movements that shouldn't disrupt operations." "Shouldn't disrupt?" Sam echoes, his eyes hardening. "Private Walsh will be escorted with full honors through the main terminal." Thornton jabs at the map. "There's a service elevator to the loading area. You'd avoid delaying thousands of passengers." Sam's voice is steady. "The disruption is temporary. The dishonor of skulking through back corridors would be permanent." Thornton's composure cracks. He signals Sarah. "This is absurd. Airport protocols supersede your parade." Sarah approaches, her hand on her radio, but her eyes fall on the casket, the flag catching sunlight from a nearby window. Her hand drops, Is there a problem? She asks. Yes, Thornton snaps. We need this procession redirected for operational reasons. Sarah looks at the casket, then at the growing crowd of onlookers. Sir, the director approved this route. I don't see an operational issue justifying a change. Thornton flushes. I'm responsible for this terminal. These delays cascade through the system. The crowd grows larger, their silence a pocket of reverence in the bustling terminal. An elderly man in a USMC cap, George Miller, steps forward. I served in Vietnam, he says, his voice rough but clear. I lost brothers who never came home. This soldier deserves better than a back hallway. His words ripple through the crowd. A businessman pockets his phone. A mother whispers to her curious child. A flight attendant stops mid-stride. Maggie Walsh moves closer, Emma clutching her hand. My Danny, Maggie says, her voice trembling but strong. He loved baseball, dreamed of flying planes. He died saving his squad. He deserves this honor. The terminal grows quieter, the weight of her words sinking in. Thornton, undeterred, steps forward, his hand raised to halt the procession. Sergeant, I'm ordering you to redirect. Sam's gaze doesn't waver. There are regulations older than your airport, he says. They govern how we honor those who gave everything. Lieutenant Walsh died serving his country in full view of the world. He will not be hidden in death. Thornton's hand brushes the edge of the flag, a ripple passing through the fabric. A collective gasp rolls through the crowd. Time seems to collapse. Sam moves with fluid precision, his hand closing around Thornton's wrist, gentle but firm. Don't touch the flag, he says, his voice barely above a whisper, yet it carries through the hushed terminal. The words are truth, unyielding, rooted in centuries of military honor. Thornton's face registers shock, then indignation. Take your hands off me, he hisses. This is assault. I'll have security escort you out. The crowd's silence deepens. George Miller removes his cap, placing it over his heart. A flight attendant wipes a tear. A businessman closes his laptop. What Thornton doesn't grasp is that touching the flag is more than a mistake. It's a desecration, an insult to Danny, his family, and every soldier who served. Sam holds Thornton's wrist for 3 seconds, then releases him, his face betraying nothing. Veterans in the crowd recognize the restraint, the depth of betrayal suppressed beneath his composure. The flag represents a soldier's dedication, Sam says, his voice steady despite the emotion beneath. The values they upheld, the sacrifice they made. It is not to be touched by anyone outside the honor guard. Thornton rubs his wrist, defiance flickering. This is my terminal, he says, voice lower now. I determine how. Military personnel are authorized to protect the flag and casket from desecration. Sam cuts in, his tone final. Our actions are guided by protocols older than your position or this airport. The crowd's reverence grows palpable. Travelers stand motionless, many with heads bowed, as if the terminal has become hallowed ground. That's Danny's flag, comes a small voice from the crowd's edge. Emma Walsh, perched in her grandmother's arms, points at the casket, her words slicing through the tension. Maggie holds her tighter, her weathered face a map of grief and pride. Her eyes meet Sam's, a silent acknowledgement of shared loss. Captain Evelyn Carter, the airport director and a retired Army officer, approaches with measured steps. Her uniform is civilian, but her bearing is military. Her eyes take in the scene, the honor guard in formation, Thornton standing awkwardly, the casket at the center of this unexpected standoff. Mr. Thornton, she says, her voice quiet but firm. Step aside. Turning to Sam, her tone softens. Sergeant, my apologies. Your procession will continue through the main terminal as planned. Thornton begins to protest, clutching his clipboard, but Carter silences him with a raised hand. She understands what Thornton can't, that some moments transcend metrics, that traditions carry a weight no efficiency report can measure. She takes the terminal's microphone, her voice echoing through the vast space. Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention? A fallen soldier is being escorted through our terminal today. As a sign of respect, we ask that you join us in forming a corridor of honor for his final journey home. The terminal transforms. Travelers who'd been rushing to gate stop, moving deliberately to the concourse's edges. Businessmen close laptops mid-email. Parents gather children, whispering about sacrifice. Airport staff abandon posts, forming lines along the path. The chaotic terminal becomes a solemn passage. A businessman who'd complained about delays now stands with head bowed. A teenage girl slips her phone into her pocket, eyes wide with understanding. George Miller stands straighter, his hand in a precise salute. An elderly man in a wheelchair rises, supported by his wife, his trembling hand finding his brow. The procession resumes, Sam at its head, the flag a beacon through the corridor of respect. Not a word is spoken, not a phone raised. Even the terminal's announcements seem to hush, as if the building itself holds its breath. Sam's face remains impassive, but his eyes carry a new light, acknowledgement that his stand has awakened something powerful. His gaze meets Maggie's. No words pass. None are needed. In that glance is a promise kept, honor maintained, sacrifice recognized. Maggie nods once, a soldier's acknowledgement from one generation to another. Outside, the hearse waits, its black surface gleaming in the afternoon sun. The honor guard places Danny's casket with care, the flag still vibrant against the gray tarmac. Maggie and Emma approach, Emma clutching a single daisy. Maggie takes Sam's hand, her grip strong despite her years. "You kept your promise, Sam," she says, tears brimming but not falling. Sam reaches into his pocket, pulling out the worn photograph of him and Danny laughing under a desert moon. He presses it into her hand. "For you, Maggie. For Emma." Emma steps forward, placing the daisy on the casket. "You're my hero, Danny," she whispers, her small voice breaking the silence. Travelers watch from a distance, some wiping tears, others standing in silent tribute. Thornton approaches, his clipboard gone, his head bowed. "Sergeant, I was wrong," he says, his voice barely audible. "I didn't understand." Sam meets his eyes, then nods, his silence a quiet forgiveness. The hearse pulls away, carrying Danny on his final journey to Arlington. Sam's salute holds steady until the vehicle vanishes, his posture unwavering despite the weight of the moment. What began as a bureaucratic standoff has become something profound, a reminder that some traditions endure because they speak to our need to honor sacrifice with dignity. That night, Sam returns to the tomb of the unknown soldier under a starlit sky. He paces his watch 21 steps, a turn, a pause, then 21 steps again. The wind carries the weight of his duty, a reminder that some promises outlast time. In a world that rushes forward, some stand still to honor those who gave everything. Let's remember them, not just in silence, but in the courage to stand for what's right. For Danny, for every soldier who never came home, and for those who keep their promises no matter the cost. This is the story of a tomb guard and a fallen soldier, of a crowded airport in Washington, D.C., of a photograph and a promise that held fast against the rush of time. It's a reminder that at the tomb of the unknown soldier, where every step is measured and every salute is sacred, the greatest tribute to the fallen is standing firm for their honor. So pause today. Think of Sam,